Welcome to this course on understanding Merkaba and Vortex mechanics. This is part 1, and in this part we'll deal with Earth's history. Do you know that the Earth's magnetic fields are not aligned with the rotational spin of Earth? Have you ever considered what effect this might have on the Earth's natural energy grids and ley lines, or what effect this might have on human consciousness? Is this why we have a duality of polarity? Two north and south poles. One north pole is the magnetic pole, one of the other north pole is the rotational north. So we have this duality of polarity on planet Earth. Well, in this course I will explain this, but this is information you may never even have heard of or considered before. But by the end of this course, it may begin to be more apparent and understandable. I will also offer some solutions to correcting and realigning our energetic fields with our particle matter fields. This may all sound a bit like gobbledygook, but please persist, because once all the parts of this dynamic arrangement are put in place and known, it is as easy as solving a Rubik's Cube puzzle. You have to know how it works, and what fits in, and where they fit in. It's also a bit like baking a cake. Once you have all the ingredients and instructions, you can bake a fine cake. So let's look at the ingredients for baking this cake of reality. In my previous courses, I've explained that everything is about the frequencies of light and sound, and that our conscious self-awareness is a field of energy called soul, or life force, or chi. Emerging from that life force is an eternal, evolving soul being who lives many lifetimes, evolving their conscious soul being through a multi-dimensional structure and a universal creation template through space and time. This creates a holographic reality field when all these ingredients are mixed together. And it's this holographic field through which they provide, or we provide for ourselves, experiences with our thoughts and emotions and energy impulses. I'll repeat that. This creates a holographic reality field through which they provide for themselves, that is the soul beings, experiences with their thought, electric, and emotions, magnetic energy impulses. These are designed to integrate their holographic experiences with their soul essence, thus contributing and building a stronger and more coherent soul energy field. So those are the ingredients we have so far, but there's something missing, and those missing ingredients are what this course on understanding Merkaba and Vortex mechanics is all about. To understand the role of Merkabas and vortices, let's compare it to a power grid that we are all familiar with, our electricity power grid. Our electricity power grids have 3 components. One is power generation, the next is power transmission, and the third is power distribution. In this analogy, and comparing it to the energy system of our souls, the Merkabas are the power generation, the chakras are the transmission lines, and the Kathara points in the body are the distribution points of the soul energy body. We will deal with the Kathara grid and points in a future course. So what are the ingredients thus far? Light and sound waves that that are electrically and magnetically charged waves of energy which manifest as thoughts and emotions in our reality field. It is a plasma field of energy. Plasma is just a field of highly charged ions. So it is the plasma field of energy that creates conscious self-awareness that we call soul, life force, or chi, that is able to create an experience for themselves in a holographic reality field. A soul being can create time, space, and timelines, and can navigate their souls through multi-dimensional zones of time and space, through their thought and emotional energies according to a universal creation template. A multi-dimensional system and universal creation template that is sure, certain, and works according to the law of one. So with all its amazing potential and creatability, what went wrong? Why doesn't it work the way it's supposed to work? That's where understanding Merkaba and Vortex mechanics comes in. What went wrong with Earth's Merkaba and Vortex fields? So it's time to delve a little deeper into Earth's hidden history to understand what happened. The following is a highly abbreviated version of Earth's history. The Earth has a 556 million year old history, and it's experienced a number of what are called falls. The first fall was when a planet from which Earth originated, called Tara, in harmonic bandwidth 3, was recklessly blown up by competing higher dimensional beings who were appointed guardians over the Lyran star system and over certain harmonic bandwidth 2 planets. This was called the Turanesium 1 project, created by the Lyran and Syrian councils. Tara was smashed into 12 bits, and one of these bits became Urta, our Earth, and the other 11 bits, the other planets in our solar system. When Tara broke apart, the forces of the electromagnetic waves, stronger than the forces of our nuclear explosions, that caused her demise, not only broke apart the physical planet, Tara, but ripped her universal soul template apart, so that the various bits that were blown apart carried parts of her soul template within their planetary soul bodies. The Lyran and Syrian councils, together with, among others, the Palladians, the Arcturians, and Andromedan councils, created the Galactic Federation of Councils. They launched their Christos realignment mission and rescue mission, the purpose and goal of which was to rescue and restore Tara's universal soul template. Through various agreements, it was decided that these bits of Tara would be held in the morphogenetic field of a star system in the Milky Way galaxy in a star called Sol, in harmonic bandwidth 2. This arrangement made these planets vulnerable to distortion and manipulation by the fallen angelics under the Luciferian rebellions. So the Galactic Federation of Councils have intervened over time to correct any distortion and manipulation by the fallen angelics according to the law of one. However, the law of one makes provision for the sovereignty of soul free will, so soul beings within the matrix of control systems would have to act within the law of one, and act as sovereign soul beings to disengage and free their soul energy from any matrix of control. In other words, if sovereign soul beings are trapped within a herd mentality and don't exercise their sovereign free will independently in their own best interest, they can be trapped within a matrix of control. So while the federations of the galactic councils will assist where they can, based on the law of one, It requires that independent, sovereign soul beings should be aware of the law of one, the power that they hold in their soul energy fields, and their connection to the universal design template through the sound and light fields. This will be explained further as we go along. The last fall happened approximately 25,500 years ago. It is difficult to put a defined date on this because there are a number of different calendars operating on this planet. We in the West use the Gregorian calendar instigated by Pope Gregory XIII. Many different calendars have been developed over the millennia to help people organize their lives. According to a recent estimate, there are about 40 calendars used in the world today, particularly for determining religious dates. Most modern countries use the Gregorian calendar for their official activities. Most calendars are based on the phases of the moon, but in modern times these are now based on the rotation of the Earth around the Sun, 365.25 days. In the universe, time is based on what is called the cosmic clock, and are called phases based on the number 12. So each planet, each galaxy, each star system goes through 12 phases. There have been 3 seedings of Earth over the years, and we are the progeny of the 3rd seeding. Approximately 25,500 years ago, and just before the last stellar activation cycle, which is an ascension cycle, the Earth was still in harmonic bandwidth 2, where humans had 4 strands of DNA activated and with a 12-strand DNA potential. Humans were called angelic humans then, and the Earth and its inhabitants were greatly admired for the great mineral wealth, with the greatest of diversity in vegetable, insect, reptile, avian, fish, and animal species in the universe, and was considered to be the jewel of the universe because of this wealth, large wealth of diversity. At that stage, Earth's planetary, solar, and galactic stargates were fully intact and operational. Earth was very cosmopolitan and the greatest trading center in our solar system, and much coveted by the fallen angelics. It had also been granted the favor of hosting a universal stargate at the pyramids of Giza in Egypt. This was a rare favor in the universe. Traders here included ETs from many other star systems in the galaxy, as well as multi-dimensional beings from the universe and multiverse, and Earth's inhabitants were looking forward to an upgrade in status during its next stellar activation cycle. Things were going very well for Earth then, but blinded by their status and position, the leadership on Earth began to be impressed with the knowledge of the Anunnaki Draconian traders, and at the behest of the Anunnaki Draconians, began to entertain the idea of attracting the moon into Earth's orbit, the purpose of which was to have reflected light from the moon on Earth during hours of darkness. And so it was agreed with the Anunnaki Draconians and Earth's leadership that a moon, a fragment of rock, or so they thought, from the asteroid belt would be attracted into Earth's orbit by the Anunnaki Draconians. This first experiment was a resounding success, and Earth's human angelics marveled at the spectacle of the moon, lighting up the dark nights. Little did the human leadership know that this moon was a hollow, manufactured and phase-locked broadcast station for the blank slate technologies, or the Beast, that the Anunnaki Draconians intended to use as part of their long-term plan to set siege to Earth's population, a kind of a Trojan horse. The first moon, our current moon, was phase-locked into a 28-day rotational cycle instead of a 24-day rotational cycle, which meant that at some times during the month there were parts of Earth that were in darkness. the Anunnaki Draconians offered to fix us by attracting a smaller moon but closer to the Earth. And it was also to be phase-locked into a 28-day cycle to follow the cycles of the first moon, so that the Earth would have undisturbed 24 hours of light. Human Earth leadership agreed to this second experiment, unaware that the Anunnaki Draconians had already set up their blank slate technologies that would be broadcast from Saturn, that's where the word Satan comes from, to Mercury, to Mars, and to our moon, whose rotational spin would be phase-locked into the rotational spin of Earth, that is, one rotation every 24 hours, so that the Earth's inhabitants would only see the one side of the moon. This is an unnatural occurrence in the universe. Not only would the moon be a broadcast station for the Anunnaki Draconians, it would also be a landing station for the fallen ones from the dark side of the moon. When Earth scientists measure the resonance capacity of the moon, they agree that it rings like a bell and resonates and sends signals to Earth. Of course, mainstream media are in denial of this. Who can blame them, though, when their income and research grants depend on compliance with the narrative of the Anunnaki Draconians? The second experiment was an unmitigated disaster for the human angelics, but a triumph for the Anunnaki Draconians. The second smaller asteroid moon collided with Earth, resetting Earth's rotational spin at an angle of 23.5 degrees to its magnetic rotation. So 90 degrees minus 23.5 degrees equals 66.6 degrees, the mark of the beast. The dust from the impact began to cover many parts of the Earth, blocking out the warmth of the sun, ushering what is called the Ice Age. The Anunnaki Draconians did this because of their knowledge of Merkaba and Vortex mechanics, and they used this knowledge to control the Earth and its people. This event was recorded in the Bible as the Tower of Babel, where humans had a confusion of languages and were unable to recognize themselves and each other. Explaining why this was so is what this course is about. What caused humans to lose their identity and memories? The act of offsetting the rotational spin of Earth with its magnetic spin at an angle of 23.4 degrees meant that the Merkaba spin of the planet no longer aligned with the universal compass, that is, the magnetic north-south. The human angelics on Earth lost contact with their soul ancestry and forgot who and what they were. This is recorded as the Tower of Babel as follows. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men built. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, which means confusion, because the Lord there did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of the earth. Of course, the Lord that the Bible refers to are the new Anunnaki Draconian landlords, who had taken over the planet's Merkaba fields. It had the same effect as turning an aerial 23.4 degrees away from an existing broadcast signal and towards a new broadcast station, the Beast, blank slate technology. There followed a long history to be covered in a future course. Suffice it to say the Earth's energy wobble has left its populations vulnerable to attack from the Anunnaki draconian controllers here, because they've forgotten who and what they are. In the next part of this course, we will deal with correcting the angle of our Merkaba fields. So we've arrived at the end of part 1, the history, but please watch the following video.